Quincy, gotta get off my lap so I can start the show late. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode, is it really 249 of Cocktails in the War Room, albeit starting extremely late, and for that I apologize. The only words that could describe it are catastrophic failure or clusterfuck, depending on which ones you want to use. So if you are new to the War Room, normally we get together at 8:30 every Tuesday night live on my official Facebook page, rebroadcast on YouTube after the fact, but we are running a little bit late tonight. I didn't want to cancel the show because I just got back from Vegas. I have so many stories to tell you guys. Turn it up a little bit louder. What do you mean louder? Is it not loud enough? Nothing else has changed. I can tell you that all of the software that gets used to build the show, I'm not making excuses, but requires near constant updates. And I think anybody that's ever had to update software on their computer, you fear an update on your phone because something always goes wrong. And when I have to update the software that runs Cocktails in the War Room, it literally screws with everything. And in order for me to build the show and then import it into the War Room, I have to then update two separate machines. And tonight I did that and the show wouldn't transfer from one to the other. And it was a little bit brutal. So not sure why War Drums wasn't as loud tonight as it should have been, but we're here. Thank you guys for joining me. What? Yes, Fustercluck, Keith. That's exactly what it is. Laura, Joe is here. Lisa, Jonathan, Joe, Jessica. What's up, Bish? Blame the jet lag. I will tell you guys that I fell asleep at like 5:45 this morning because I was up so late the nights leading up to me leaving for Vegas last week, including last Tuesday night with the Blueberry Cobbler Moonshine. Not helpful when you have to get up at like 3:30 in the morning to catch a flight. But then being up so late in Vegas that my internal clock is so screwed up that I have not been able to fall asleep. And then I'm exhausted in the middle of the day because I'm not sleeping at night. But it was totally worth it because Vegas was an absolute blast. And I have a ton of stories to tell you. I love, Joe says, sounds like Godsmack 1000 horsepower. Well, Joe, it is Godsmack. That's the song that Sully gave me to be the soundtrack to Cocktails in the War Room and to the Mistress Carrie podcast. So it sounds like Godsmack for a reason. What's up, Denise and Ash, Elsa, Travis is here. Mr. Cole joining us. Donna is here. William, hello. Hello, Michelle. So yeah, it's been a week. And then coming back to, I didn't land until well after midnight on Sunday night into Monday. My flight was delayed getting in. By the time I got my bags, got out of Logan, got home, got the sit rep done, it was well into Monday morning by the time I went to bed, and then trying to get back into the swing of things, and then not being able to sleep last night. I need this. I literally lived on Red Bull for like a week. I'm trying to wean myself off, but all of the updates and the technical difficulties with Cocktails in the War Room did not help. So if you are new to Cocktails in the War Room, welcome. I apologize for starting the show late tonight. If you're new, chime in the comments. Let us know that you're new and where you're watching from. John says, watching from Mason, New Hampshire. Brett says, it's my wife's birthday. Brett, will make sure we drink to her coming up in birthdays. Her birthday rocks. There's a lot of awesome people that are celebrating their birthdays today. You're going to sleep like a baby tonight. I hope so, because I need a little bit of rest. So if you're new to the War Room, this is where we get together every Tuesday night in the room of my house that we have called the War Room for 13 years and counting. It's where all my military memorabilia is, and it is also where the bar is. And so it's been where we rode out the pandemic. the demise of WAF. We've been getting together since March 14th of 2020 here in the War Room. And after doing 80 shows in a row, we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast in June of 2020. And then Cocktails in the War Room became a weekly show. So thank you very much for joining us. Let us know where you're watching so the War Room family, the OGs, can welcome you properly. And speaking of OGs, she's here and say hi, Wednesday. She's sitting as close to me as possible because the cookies are in my pocket. But for anybody that's new to the War Room, allow me to introduce you to my co-host, Wednesday the Goth Pug, where you can find her on Instagram. She was the hit of Vegas. For anybody that doesn't know, between last week's show and this week's show, I was in Vegas at the G2 convention, which is a rock radio convention where a bunch of radio people, record companies, band managers all get together to listen to the next generation of rock bands and listen to all of the new bands and new music that's going to be coming out, say, in the next year. And as people do, sit around and talk about their pets. Wednesday became quite famous. And when everybody, including all of the bands, found out that she had Instagram, well, you can imagine. We're close to 1,000 followers, right, Wednesday? Come over here. Come over here. Sit down nicely. Good girl. Good girl. Sit nicely. Down. Good girl. She was chewing rocks earlier outside while I was talking to some of the neighbors. She doesn't like it when you're not paying attention to her, so she was chewing on rocks today. Yes, Wednesday. Can I have your paw? Thank you. Can I have the other paw? Thank you. Can I have a high five? There you go. Good girl. I am from Massachusetts, but catching you in a while. I'm on vacation in PA. Nice job, Matt. Jane says, I am in Phoenix. Off to see the Foo Fighters in a few. First vacation in 5 years. Jane, that's fantastic. Mark says, Carrie, I got a nice 7 long mile run this beautiful afternoon. That's very impressive. I did not run 7 miles. I was locked in MCHQ. Michelle says, we love you from Haverhill. Thank you very much. What's up, Steven? Did you meet Eddie Trunk? So, Brett, I know Eddie Trunk. I've met him multiple times. He was not at the convention that I was at in Vegas. Eddie works on both in New York and in Vegas, and I don't think he got to Vegas till like the night before I left. So, no, I did not see him. Joe says, what's a vacation? Carol says, I walked 10 miles today. That's impressive. You guys are making the rest of us look like crap. Move over, Wednesday, so everybody can see you in the camera. Good girl. So we can see your cute face, right? Hello, Eric. Let's see. Love you from Palm Bay, Florida, says Jennifer. I saw Shinedown Friday and Saturday night in Florida. Awesome show, says Christine. That's fantastic. Jessica talking about Aerosmith. We will talk about that coming up in the show. Eddie was at the U2 show. Of course he was. That's why he wasn't. I was at the U2 show too, just outside. I have pictures of the Sphere to show you guys, but the $3,000 a ticket that I found on StubHub was a little bit too rich for my blood to go to U2, so that was not happening. Jen says, you must be tired. Oh, Jen, I'm exhausted. So I want to show you guys some pictures of Vegas. So first I'm going to show you guys a bunch of the bands that I met while I was in Vegas. Some bands you may have heard of before, some bands you may not have heard of before. So one of the people I bumped into in Vegas is Rob Caggiano, who was in Anthrax and then more recently was in Volbeat. He has since left Volbeat. Rob and I have known each other for years. He was on the famous Silencing of the Birds episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast. I bumped into him at the Hard Rock randomly. He wasn't at the convention. And when I asked him what was going on, trying to get the gossip, he was like, there's a lot of good stuff. Can't tell you anything. So there's a lot of stuff coming from Rob Caggiano from Volbeat and Anthrax. Let's see. Hung out with the guys from Sleep Theory. These guys are brothers. He just learned English from the Philippines, and he is an Army veteran. So this is the guys from Sleep Theory, who are fantastic. This is Moon Fever, who are great. The lead singer's dad is actually the lead singer of Second Coming, that you'll remember from the mid-90s, who WAF helped to break that band. These guys are from Seattle. Moon Fever, fantastic. This is Pistols at Dawn. Got to see them at a showcase at the Hard Rock. This is Starbender. Now, they may look like Britney Fox. 2 women in the band. They were fantastic. And let me just tell you, the 80s are coming back. Everybody in this band is like in their 20s, and they looked like Britney Fox. And the 80s are coming back. I witnessed it with my own eyes. They were awesome. And these guys were probably one of my favorite bands of the convention. I got to see them a couple of weeks ago, open up for Corey Taylor at the House of Blues. They are the Oxymorons. And if you have not seen them live, if you are a fan of rap rock, I'm talking Rage Against the Machine, stuff like that, you are going to love the Oxymorons. They're a drummer, a guitarist, and 2 singer/rappers. And the guitar player also sings. And the 3-part harmonies, these guys are fantastic. They're from Queens. They're really good friends with Daryl McDaniels, who you guys know is a really close friend of the show. They spell the Oxymorons with 2 R's because R's are free. So we were joking that I spell Carrie with 2 R's because R's are free. But I spent the most time with the guys from Moon Fever and the guys from the Oxymorons. Pistols at Dawn are amazing. They are, I believe, touring with From Ashes to New and getting played a lot on the Bone up in Portland, Maine. And when they found out that I worked on the Bone, they were so grateful. And they were like, the Bone is playing us more than any station in the country. Thank you so much. So these guys were amazing. And the guys from Sleep Theory were absolutely awesome. This got taken from these 2 pictures got taken from the roof deck pool party that we attended, which we will talk about in our cocktail of the week coming up, because the drink this week, our cocktail of the week, is what I was drinking at the rooftop pool party with these guys, and it was fantastic. Let's see. So this was some of the artists that I got a chance to meet. They were all amazing. One of the other things that I got to do while I was down on the Strip at the showcase at the Hard Rock was go right down Las Vegas Boulevard to the Stranger Things store, which is also a Stranger Things kind of museum. And they have all of the Stranger Things sets and just so many different places that you can take pictures. And it was awesome. They had a giant full-size Vecna that I took pictures with. Obviously, the famous couch, the bicycles, the neon room with the Stranger Things logo. They had this awesome neon hallway that I just thought was really cool and made pictures look awesome. And then, of course, I had to take this one. So you guys know how much of a Stranger Things fan I am. Anything on the Las Vegas Strip is just huge. This store was gigantic. It was like 3 floors. If you're a Stranger Things fan and you go to Vegas, you don't want to miss the Stranger Things store. They had everything. They had all of the roller skating jackets. They had all of the merch, the t-shirts. If you love Stranger Things, you would have absolutely loved this store. I spent like 45 minutes in there just roaming around taking photos. So an absolute blast. So if you're a Stranger Things fan, you definitely want to check this out. And then on Friday night, U2 officially opened the MSG Sphere, which is down at the Venetian. And U2 started their U2 UV Achtung Baby residency. They're doing 25 shows at the Sphere. Friday night was the first show. And while I couldn't get in, I did go down there because I wanted to check out the Sphere. And it's unbelievable. So first of all, the MSG Sphere is the first sphere in the world, the brainchild of the owners of Madison Square Garden, thus MSG. It cost $2.3 billion to make. It is covered in 56.7 million LEDs that are in these clusters that are this picture right here. So this is me standing literally right next to the wall of the sphere. These circles are like the size of baseballs. And inside, if you look at the picture, there's like 40 or 50 LEDs per baseball sized cluster. And as you can see, when you're up close, they look really far apart. But as you get further and further away, you don't see the spaces anymore. This picture over here I thought was really cool because I looked up and you could see the moon next to the sphere. This is some of the graphics that U2 was using inside. Now this is outside. The exoskeleton is coated with the LEDs, but as you can see from this picture here, it's not like a screen like your television. Behind the exoskeleton is speakers. And it's not just like this on the outside. It's like this on the inside. So if you see any of the viral video of U2 from actually inside the sphere, 90% of the PA system, which is spectacular, is hidden behind the skeleton that holds the LEDs. So when the screens are activated, you don't see the speakers at all. The screen inside is 160,000 square feet of LED screen. It's unbelievable. The footage from inside, and I've only seen other people's videos because I didn't get to go inside. However, I got to see the outside, and the graphics change all the time. It gets turned into eyeballs. This thing was crazy because it had this picture over here, this one. It was like a little baby inside like a NASA space helmet, and it was like screaming, and the PA is so loud. They were playing music outside. It was ridiculously loud. It's unbelievable. There's also a Darren Aronofsky film that's going to be screening in there that was shot specifically to be shown inside Sphere called Postcards from Earth. So imagine IMAX on steroids. That's what the screen inside Sphere looks like. It was amazing. Now, there are a lot of rumors that Lady Gaga is on a short list to be able to perform at Sphere. U2 right now are only doing 25 shows, and opening night, everybody was there. Oprah, LeBron James, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Jimmy Iovine, Paul McCartney, like literally everybody was there except me. But I was outside. Now, they were selling merch outside. I was with my husband, who I have a very, very strict rule with, that he's not allowed to wear concert shirts for bands he's not seen live. And I was going to buy a U2 shirt from their residency because I feel like the Sphere is going to change live music venues forever. It holds 18,000 people with seats, or 20,000 people general admission inside. And I was in line to get merch, and he was like, "Are you really going to buy merch for a show you didn't see?" And I was like, fuck, he's right. So I didn't buy any merch. So there you go. I will tell you guys that based on talking to people outside and hearing all of the online reviews, the general admission floor is the place to be because you can see all the way up. You literally just get surrounded by the screens. There were reports that like the 100 level was like under a balcony, so you didn't get wrapped in the screen because the screen goes all over, all around you. It's huge. So judging by the vantage point with the stage, the way that U2 had it configured, the general admission standing room only floor was the place to be, just in case you're able to get some tickets. But the Sphere was unbelievable. Just seeing it from the outside and all of the roads around it, because it's not right off the strip, it's behind the Venetian. And it ties up traffic with people trying to pull over, telling cab drivers and Uber drivers to pull over because people are trying to take pictures of Sphere. So it's definitely going to be something that you guys, when you go to Vegas, are going to want to go and check out, even if it's just from outside. But they are going to start having other events besides concerts in there. And I believe that they are going to open it up for tours the way that you can get a tour of Fenway, not on a game day, but you can just go and walk around. I think they're going to start doing that as well. They just won't do it while, the opening weekend and U2 was there. Bish says, I broke that rule buying a Metallica tour shirt online when I haven't seen them yet. It's a rule of mine. It's fine, but I want to let you guys know this is new in the blog at mistresscarrie.com. So the Radio Advertising Bureau has a podcast called Radio on the Street. The new season launched last month, and I was interviewed by Elaine, the president of the Radio Advertisers Bureau. She interviewed me about my radio career, about my thoughts on sponsorship and advertising, my goals for the future, just a lot of stuff. So this interview is now in my blog at mistresscarrie.com. So I wanted to let you guys know that was there. Also, Denise sent me a really funny email while I was away in Vegas that was like, if you're reading this, first of all, stop. And second of all, I went and saw Brian Setzer and took you with me. So show me your MC. Anytime you guys grab Mistress Carrie merch and you go anywhere cool, it doesn't have to be a concert, but anywhere cool, make sure you send me the pictures of you wearing your Mistress Carrie merch so that you can show me your MC. So thank you, Denise, for your fantastic picture. Want to remind you guys that you can download the Pike app and listen to me every weekday afternoon from 3 to 7 on 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. You can also download the Bone app and listen to me on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine, or, well, anywhere, but the station located in Portland from 3 to 7 every weekday afternoon. The Pike, a little more classic rock. The Bone, a little more hard rock and heavy metal. So depending on what kind of music you guys like listening to, want to remind you guys that the radio shows are there. All right, cocktail recipe time. So normally we read cocktail recipes out of the books that I have here in the War Room, but it was ridiculously hot when I was in Vegas, like up into the mid to high 90s. And so one of the days that I was there, they had a rooftop pool party, and the guys from the Oxymorons were there. Sleep Theory was there. And so, of course, we were at the pool. That's why I was wearing shorts, by the way. Some of you guys commented like, oh, a rare picture of Mistress Carrie wearing shorts. I was at a pool party, so I wore shorts. And the guys from the Oxymorons were making fun of me because my legs were so pale, because they never see the light of day, because I'm just always either indoors or wearing pants. But anyway, it was an open bar party. And the waitresses' uniforms were neon orange string bikinis, just to set the stage. And so one of the things I'm looking up the recipe for it because I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the correct ingredients. So one of the drinks that we were drinking is called a Miami Vice, which I had never heard of before. So if you guys have heard of a Miami Vice, you know what I'm talking about. For anybody that doesn't, a Miami Vice is basically half frozen strawberry daiquiri, half frozen pina colada. So for a pina colada, you're going to use white rum, sweetened coconut cream, pineapple juice, and fresh pineapple. And obviously, if you're making it frozen, you're either freezing the pineapple juice, you're freezing the fresh pineapple. You can freeze the sweetened coconut cream or just load it up with ice. But the Miami Vice was half pina colada, half strawberry daiquiri in a pitcher. Let me just tell you, delicious. One of the guys that was at the convention, there was another radio guy. When I walked into the party, I was like, what are you drinking? Because he was drinking like a fruity drink with a lot of garnishes like we like. And he was like, pina coladas. And I was like, ooh, that sounds delicious. So I ordered one. And then somebody else ordered one. And then somebody else ordered one. And the girl was like, I'm just going to bring you guys a pitcher. So she came back with a pitcher of pina coladas. And then she was like, were you guys the ones that ordered the Miami Vices? And we were like, we don't even know what that is. And she was like, oh, it's strawberry daiquiri and pina colada mixed together. And we were like, yes, have some. So then she started bringing pictures of that. And so I wanted to share the Miami Vice recipe with you guys. So pina colada is white rum, sweetened coconut cream, pineapple juice, and fresh pineapples. And also it says a pinch of salt. And then there's the strawberry daiquiris, which vodka, I've seen people make it with grain alcohol, fresh strawberries, but mix equal parts of strawberry daiquiri and pina coladas together. And a side of Don Johnson. Yes. It sounds so delicious, Jessica says. It is delicious. A hard Miami Vice is called the Don Johnson Carry. Wait, Miami Vice doesn't have booze in it? Is that what you're telling me? Because these definitely had booze in it. All sides of Don Johnson, please. She wore shorts, not pants. Yes, I was wearing pants, just shorts. So you could see like my knees down, my very white legs. Please wear pants. My eyes might get hurt, says Jonathan. I showed my wife the pic of the picture and she was jealous. You have finally tipped the scale to a weekend visit out there. Keith, I will tell you this. Because of the time change, Vegas, let me give you some Vegas advice since I go out there twice a year. I like to take the really early morning flight out. Some airlines fly direct. If you can get a direct flight, great. If not, layover. But eat getting up at 3:30 in the morning and get out there. I arrived, because you get the hours back, I arrived in Vegas just before noon on Wednesday. So even though I had to get up really early, I still had like a full Vegas day. A couple of days might not be enough because you're going to lose all that time on the way back. However, anything more than 5 days in Vegas is a bad idea. Like nothing good happens after 5 days in Vegas. It just doesn't. So if you're going to do a weekend, I would suggest going out like on a Thursday morning and coming back on a Sunday night. If you don't have to get up super early on Monday, like maybe going to work half day on a Monday, but you want to give yourself, there's so much to see. There's so many amazing shows, just the walking around and experiencing Vegas. I will tell you, and everybody that has a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass knows this already because I kept in pretty constant contact with the Backstage Pass holders, telling them where I was every day. The Vegas Strip, where all the big casinos are. So, you know, there's Mandalay Bay and, you know, the Venetian and Caesar's Palace and the Bellagio, like all of those, that just the strip up and down is crazy. But then there's Fremont Street, which is like old Vegas. And that's where the big LED hall is. That's where the old casinos are. There's cheaper gambling off the strip, down off of Fremont Street. Sometimes it's not as nice. It really depends on where you stay down there. But all of the rock clubs are all down off of Fremont Street. I'm talking Atomic Liquors, which is one of the oldest places to hang out in Vegas. It's where the Rat Pack used to get drunk. It's right at the end of Fremont Street. They call it Atomic Liquors because there was a patio where people used to go and stand and watch the atomic testing, thus the U2 song Atomic City. So Atomic Liquors is where we saw Moon Fever. They did an acoustic performance for us down there. There's the Sand Dollar, which is where if you guys go and watch the video for U2's song for Atomic City, they recorded that right outside of the Sand Dollar, which is one of the old rock clubs. Then there's places like the Fremont Country Club, Backstage. Where else did we go? There are so many really cool like rock clubs that are right down along Fremont Street, which is really, really cool. Then obviously on the strip, there's the Hard Rock. There's also Brooklyn Bowl, which is kind of right around the corner from the Sphere, right on the strip. Corey Taylor played there on Friday night. So there's plenty of places to go and see music. And I'm not just talking about like the big artists that are doing residencies. I'm talking about a ton of clubs that are down there as well. So if you're going to go to Vegas, you're not going to be able to see everything in a weekend. So you kind of want to make a plan and do it in bite-sized pieces. But there's so much to do. Alicia says, I bought my backstage pass today. That is fantastic. How do you get the password for the speakeasy? Donna wants to know. So right off of Fremont Street is the Mob Museum, which is fantastic. It's literally a museum of organized crime and like crime investigation. And you go in and they've got everything. They have got stuff from Whitey Bulger to El Chapo, Al Capone. It's riddled with stuff. Then there's a whole section of mob movies, and they've got everything from like a chemical suit from Breaking Bad to one of Tony Soprano's outfits to an autographed script from Casino. Just really, really cool stuff. And underneath the Mob Museum is a speakeasy. Now, there's no signs to advertise the speakeasy. So if you just go to the Mob Museum, it's called the Underground. You have to know about the speakeasy. And underneath the Mob Museum is a speakeasy with really high-end cocktails, great appetizers, and there's also a ton of memorabilia down there. But in order to get in, you have to have the code. So what you got to do is you got to look up the Underground or the Mob Museum and the speakeasy. Google it and go on the website. Every day they change the code. And there's a little graphic with this thing that you slide. Our code on, when did we go? On Saturday was Tin Lizzie. And so whatever day you want to go to the speakeasy, and it does tell you if you want to go through all the guided tours in the Mob Museum to make a reservation, because tourist buses will show up and then the place will just be mobbed, pardon the pun, and you won't be able to get in. But if you go to the website that day and get the code for the speakeasy, you have to go around back and down a flight of stairs to get into the basement of the Mob Museum. And it's got the old metal thing that slides and somebody's eyes are there and they're like, what do you want? And you have to tell them the code. So when my husband and I did that, they slid it open and she goes, you can come in. I love Iron Maiden. And I had an Iron Maiden shirt on. I was like, oh my God. But she's like, you need the code, to my husband. And he's like, I know the code. So she let us in. We went down there, had some cocktails, some really good hors d'oeuvres. And then you can kind of go up the back way. They even have a forensics lab that does fingerprinting analysis and that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool. The Mob Museum is awesome. And that's right off of Fremont Street. Denise says, museum was awesome. I wish I knew my oldest son would have loved to go. Did you see the drink recipe books? So I did look at the drink recipe books. They didn't have one that was kind of all encompassing that I wanted. They had some that were based off of just like bourbon and whiskey. Then they had another one that was based off of drinks, based off of like mob movies and stuff. But I was looking for like an actual like drink manual for like real, true, like speakeasy recipes. But I did see all of the books and just all of the stuff. Michael Cole put the link up for the Mob Museum so that you can get the code. But the Mob Museum's really, really cool. And it's right off of downtown, like right off of Fremont Street in Old Vegas, which is definitely a hoot if you want to go walking around and see the freak show. There was pool noodle boxing, guys literally in gis beating the shit out of each other with nunchucks made out of pool noodles. It was hilarious. So we stayed and watched that for a while. We also found a fantastic blues bar that's right across the street from the Mob Museum. And I've been down there multiple times, had never seen it before. And I was like, hey, I want to go check that place out. And when we went in, they were like, it's our second day being open. And we was like, well, that's why. And that was called Fat Cat. And they have live blues and jazz music, really high-end, cool cocktails. Be prepared that you can go, like we saw at the Downtown Grand Hotel. inside the casino, they had signs for it outside that for $2 you could get a hot dog and a 6-ounce beer. So there are places to eat and drink on the cheap. But then there are places like the Speakeasy where the cocktails are like $15 a piece. So you got to be prepared for that stuff too. But it was awesome. Mark says, I wish I was in Vegas during the Rat Pack era. Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of everywhere. There's homages to that everywhere. There's little historical plaques in places. Going into Atomic Liquors was really cool because Atomic Liquors, which is down at the end of Fremont Street, was also Anthony Bourdain's favorite bar in Vegas, which is something they take great pride in bragging about down there. But Atomic Liquors has been there for so long that's where, after they got done their performances, where the Rat Pack used to go and hang out late night and drink and like meet ladies was at Atomic Liquors, which was really cool. Did you see anything from the Godfather movie? All of that stuff is down there. I didn't even get through the whole museum. It's huge and there's so much stuff. What I thought was really funny though is that they had this big display of mobsters in film. And they had Steve Martin's character from My Blue Heaven, which was hilarious. But I was really bummed out that they didn't have Sylvester Stallone's character from Oscar, Snaps Provolone, because I love that movie. You guys know I love that movie. And I was like, oh man, Sylvester Stallone didn't make the wall at the Mob Museum, which is kind of bullshit. Denise says there's a restaurant called Capo's in Vegas that is just like a speakeasy and the food was awesome. There's just so much to do in Vegas, but if you stay too long, you'll be broke. And I lost $5 in penny slots because I also got to see Uncle Froggy while I was there. So Uncle Froggy says hello. He tentatively agreed to come home and visit next year. I told him that we would send him a plane ticket, that he could stay here at the house, but that everybody really wanted to see him. And so he kind of gave me a okay, but didn't promise. So he's still leaving room to back out. But I told him it was really important to me that he came home and that everybody got to see him. I can also tell you that you guys, obviously, if you're new to the War Room, go back to the early episodes. Was Uncle Froggy episode 11 or 14? I can never remember which episode he was in. Happy birthday, Melissa. We'll toast you, and birthday's coming up. Uncle Froggy was a long-range reconnaissance patrol in Vietnam in 1968 and was shot in the chest and wounded and is a Purple Heart recipient. And as you can tell from the pretty in-depth interview that he did on my podcast, which is the first time he's spoken publicly about his time in the service, he has post-traumatic stress. It's not a surprise to anybody that hears him talk about his time in the military. He told me while I was in Vegas that he has actually been going to the VA. And finally, after all this time, willing to say out loud that he knows he has post-traumatic stress and that he's actually openly talking about it and getting treated, which is unbelievable and amazing and something that we all try so much to raise money for and to raise awareness of. And so to hear Uncle Froggy 50-something years later was pretty spectacular. So that was really good news that came out of my trip to Vegas as well. So let's see. Depending on where you stay and when you fly, I think you can do Vegas for about $1,500 or less, but it's all about how much you want to spend, when you want to fly, and where you want to stay and how long. 100%. There are cheaper places to stay. There are hotels like the Luxor that are down on the other end of the strip, where if you go on something like TripAdvisor or something like that, you can find cheaper hotel rooms. Just beware that sometimes cheaper hotel rooms, there have been horror stories about cheap hotel rooms as well. There are some of those resorts that are nearly empty, that are overrun with cats. Like, it's really crazy. Like, how some of these places are thousands of dollars a night, and then like right down the block, not great. But there are great buffets, amazing places to eat, and you can do it on the cheap. The best thing to do is to ask friends, people that have gone, suggestions on where to go. You can spend a lot of money on taxis, and you're going to walk a lot. You can walk 8-10 miles without even trying, up and down the strip, walking through all of those big casinos, up and down Fremont Street. You're going to walk a lot, but it is possible to do it on the cheap. And you can also, like a lot of the shows, like if you want to go to one of the Cirque shows or something, those shows are usually expensive, but you can usually get discounted tickets if you don't mind not sitting together. So if you go with another person or a couple other people and you're willing to buy single seats and talk to each other after the show is over, you can get cheaper tickets for some of the best shows in Vegas, like the Cirque show which I've seen, which is spectacular. But there's really, really cool stuff to do. So if you guys want to go to Vegas, I can totally help you with suggestions on where to eat. Jen says, I'm afraid of bed bugs. In Vegas, you should be, because some of those older, cheaper hotels have had a lot of problems with stuff like that. So you've got to be careful. And obviously, it's cheaper to go midweek than on the weekends. And it also depends going around holidays or big events. There was a lot going on in Vegas while I was there. Football game, U2. They were getting ready to do the When We Were Young Fest is coming. Like there was a lot going on. So my daughter went to Vegas and stayed at Trump for a couple thousand. Just for the stay at Trump, it cost her a couple thousand. Ouch. There are a lot of haunted places too, which are really cool. But you are going to spend, if you want to go from the Strip to Fremont Street and back, and even like the cab ride to the airport is like $30. So you are going to spend money on ground transportation. So if you go with a group and you can get in like a minivan and all chip in on the cab and stuff, it is going to be cheaper. Yeah, the Super Bowl is going to be there in February. So I can basically tell you that all of February is going to be super expensive in Vegas. And I'm supposed to go back to Vegas at the end of February. So, all right, I want to talk about last week's podcast episode because we're already running late. Last week's podcast episode 173, features Jesse James Dupree, who not only is the singer and founding member of Jackal, but he also owns the Full Throttle Saloon in Sturgis, South Dakota, which was the subject of a reality show. He's a solo artist. He's got his own record label. He's got new music out that he actually co-wrote with Brian Johnson from AC/DC. And so I had a ton to talk to Jesse James Dupree about Tesla recording their latest live album there last year at Sturgis. He was very mad that I went to Sturgis this year and didn't call him. We talked about his whiskey and the distilleries and the moonshine that they make, the music that he wrote with Brian Johnson, that he's getting ready to go out on the road. We talked about Laconia and Sturgis. So if you haven't listened to episode 173 yet, it features Jesse James Dupree from Jackal and Full Throttle, and you can listen to that. It came out last week. This week's new episode 174, features Steven Richards from Taproot, who is right here in the lineup, who was the drummer and is now the singer in the band. Now, there was a guy that worked at WAAF with us named Big Red. He was an intern. He worked on the street team. And as all of the people that worked at WAAF will tell you, we all still keep in touch for the most part. And Big Red went out to the Blue Ridge Rock Festival, and it got canceled because of weather. And one of the bands that was playing there was Taproot. And the guys from Taproot took over a bowling alley and went on social media and said, hey, our set got canceled at Blue Ridge Rock Fest, but if there's Taproot fans around, if you guys want to hang out, this is where we are. We're bowling. Come hang out with us. Big Red saw that, went down to the bowling alley, was hanging out with the guys from Taproot. When they asked him where he was from and said Boston, he said, I used to work at WAF. And the first things the guy said was, oh my God, Mistress Carrie, how is she? Big Red starts texting me from the bowling alley. And he's like, the guys from Taproot say hi. And I was like, I need to get them on the podcast. And so that is how Stephen Richards from Taproot ended up back on the podcast. They have a new album called Scissors that just came out last week. And so that is episode 174 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. Their new song actually features Elias Soriano from Nonpoint, who was on the podcast a couple months ago. So, and was hinting, by the way, when he was on the podcast that he had a lot of stuff that he was working on, but he couldn't tell me what it was. This was one of the things Elias was hinting at, was that he's on a new song with the guys from Taproot. So there you go. So episode 174 of the Mistress Carrie podcast features Stephen Richards from Taproot, and the episode goes live at midnight tonight. Just as a reminder that if you subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, not only do you get the full-length episodes every Wednesday, but every weekday you get the sit rep, which is all of the rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates in about 5 minutes, and that's every weekday. Loads early in the morning, so you can listen first thing in the morning, get up to date with everything, go about your day, which is why you need to subscribe to the podcast, and you can subscribe anywhere. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because all the full-length episodes and sit reps are there. You can listen to all the episodes at mistresscarrie.com, but the podcast is also available anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Apple, Google, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. And we're holding strong at 149 countries. I'm starting to doubt that we're ever going to get our 150th country. So there you go. Melissa says, this was a great podcast. I didn't realize he sang too. Who are you talking about? Jesse James Dupree? Oh, he sings like a mother. I used to watch, Joe says, I used to watch Full Throttle Saloon. Absolute insanity. Bish says, Big Red has a beautiful kid. Mr. Cole says, for Uncle Froggy, once he's comfortable with the VA, also recommend that he puts in for VA disability benefits. It sure sounds like he would qualify. That's part of the process he's going through right now. He's already applied, and it's all in the process, which I was very happy about because he should have been collecting disability benefits for decades, and he hasn't been. And now that he's retired, he really needs them. And so he's going through the motions right now. All right, if you're celebrating your birthday today, you are in really, really, really good company. You are celebrating your birthday alongside LeJean Witherspoon from Seven Dust, Gwen Stefani, Tommy Lee. It also is Stevie Ray Vaughan's birthday, Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac, and you share your birthday with Chubby Checker and Eddie Cochran as well. So lots of amazing music-themed birthdays today. So cheers to you. Melissa, you said it's your birthday today, right? Happy birthday. Betty says, I really like Jesse James Dupree's feedback about his singing voice. I don't know if I'm going to take his advice to eat Taco Bell when my voice needs a boost, but I thought it was kind of hilarious. Let's see. Melissa says, happy birthday, mother effers. Cheers to me. Cheers to you, Melissa. Happy birthday. Joe says, LeJean smoked a hoot with them at the Hampton Beach. Carrie, are you going to make the Battle of the Bands next week at Polar Park? Yes, I will be there. That's the Battle of the Bands at Polar Park. I went last year with Mike Shue. It was great. Definitely going to be there next week. So yes, I will see you there. So happy birthday to everybody celebrating their birthdays. There's a lot of stuff to talk about with music. I'm going to just race through some of the headlines because I don't want to keep you guys up too late. The Nirvana box set coming out this month, celebrating In Utero's 30th anniversary. Bring Me the Horizon, no release date for their delayed album yet. The Osbournes, we've learned a lot. Ozzy said that he doesn't have pain in his back anymore, that he's actually starting to do Tai Chi to get his mobility back, and that he is going to start recording what he believes is going to be his final album in early 2024. He's hoping to go out on the road next summer in support of what will be his final album. The new Blink-182 album, One More Time, comes out October 20th. That's also the same day that the Stones' new album, Hackney Diamonds, is coming out. It's the same day the Oxymorons album is coming out. It's the same day the new Rival Sons record is coming out. There's a lot of awesome music coming out on October 20th. And also, news traveled fast while I was in Vegas that they made an arrest of the 27-year-old case of the murder of Tupac Shakur at a drive-by shooting in Vegas. And we're in Vegas and everybody's like, did you hear about Tupac? Did you hear about... Couldn't believe it. So an arrest has been made. It was somebody that they've suspected for a really long time. It's because I was in Vegas. That's what happens. At the Garden, coming up next week, Queen and Adam Lambert sold it out October 15th. Tickets available for the 16th. Depeche Mode on Halloween at the Garden. Tool's going to be there November 15th. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. Aerosmith announced all of the dates for this year are postponed to 2024. Not only did Steven Tyler injure his vocal cords, I didn't even know this was a thing. He fractured his larynx. I didn't know you could fracture a larynx, but you can. The band did say that he's getting the best medical care that anybody can get, and they're hoping for a speedy recovery. Steven Tyler commented saying that he is absolutely crushed, that the dates are getting postponed. I can tell you, hearing from the tech world, that all of the production, which is the biggest they've ever taken out on the road, all of the techs, including McGee, who we had on the podcast, had their whole year planned for the rest of this year and next year to be out on the road with Aerosmith. And now all of that production has been sent back, and all of those techs are now looking for work until Steven Tyler's voice is better. So we're wishing Steven Tyler and his iconic voice best wishes, and obviously a quick recovery, but just devastating for the guys from Aerosmith. Coming to Big Night Live, Thrice is going to be there on the 11th, The Darkness on the 17th. The Darkness are going to be the subject of an upcoming documentary called Welcome to the Darkness, about them breaking up and getting back together. Mammoth WVH and Nita Strauss are going to be at Big Night Live in Boston on November 15th, and From Ashes to New are going to be there on November 22nd. And I believe Pistols at Dawn are going to be on this tour, and that was one of the bands that I got to go and see and hang out with in Vegas. So those tickets are on sale now. This means winter's coming, which just makes me so sad. Now, as we start talking about winter coming and about shows being brought indoors, we got this massive announcement yesterday. The Foo Fighters are doing a stadium tour next year. They are playing Fenway Park July 21st. The tickets go on sale this Friday. So Foo Fighters on sale Friday. Details and the link to get tickets in the event calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Tool is going to be at the SNHU Arena November 13th, and two shows at Mohegan Sun the 10th and 11th of November. Godsmack is going to be at the SNHU Arena in Manchester coming up on October 27th. Chris Shiflett's new album is another album coming out on October 20th. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, they have got two shows at the SNHU Arena, the DCU Center, and Mohegan Sun. Those tickets went on sale September 15th, so they're on sale now. Des Rocks is going to be at the Sinclair on November 20th. The week of St. Patrick's Day, Thanksgiving, is going to be a very busy week for concerts. And I'm just warning you now, we might not be able to have cocktails in the War Room the week of Thanksgiving because the whole week is just booked with shows. But Des Rocks is going to be in Cambridge at the Sinclair on Monday night, the 20th. The Zombies are going to be at the Cabot Theater in Beverly coming up on the 26th of this month. Bush and Bad Wolves with Eva Under Fire are going to be, the week of Thanksgiving, November 21st at the Providence Performing Arts Center, and all of those shows are up on the events calendar as well. Dragon Force coming to the Palladium on the 4th of November. That show added to the calendar. This is coming up fast. 617 Rocks. It is a charity show. 3 Days Grace and Chevelle. That's going to be next weekend, October 14th. I am going to be there hosting that show. So if you're going to the show, Backstage Pass holders have access to tickets. I will see you guys there. Motionless in White are going to be at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway coming up October 29th. Porno for Pyros was supposed to be there on October 30th. Perry Farrell came out this week, said that Porno for Pyros are working on a new album. They need time to finish it, and they are postponing their tour to 2024. So this show is postponed as well. Okay. And coming up at the House of Blues, the Breeders are going to be there on the 24th, and Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening is going to be there on November 26th. Told you Thanksgiving week was crazy. All right. New releases coming out on Friday. Danny Elfman's Tim Burton's Corpse Bride original motion picture soundtrack on vinyl. The Darkness have their new album Permission to Land Again. Dog Star featuring Keanu Reeves, who, by the way, is playing at the Paradise this year. Their new album, Somewhere Between the Power Lines and Palm Trees, is coming out on Friday. Incubus, Morning View 23 is coming out on Friday. Joe Bonamassa, Blues Deluxe Volume 2. Meat Puppets coming out with Camp Songs. Prong releasing State of Emergency and the new Van Halen box set featuring the 4 Sammy Hagar albums, the Collection 2, with a bunch of outtakes and deep cuts, just bonus tracks, all of that stuff is coming out on Friday. Okay. Mail call. Wanted to make sure that I opened all this up for the birthday. Literally every day. You have no idea how right that was, especially in Vegas. Coffee passing the baton to booze. Hope you have literally everything you need for your birthday. Have a good one. Love, Carol. Carol, there is a Dunkin' Donuts on Fremont Street. They know me by name. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys always find the perfect card. Got this one. And here comes Wednesday because she hears me opening stuff. Really, Wednesday? Really? You came back? Because you know I'm reading mail call? This says, hey, MC, Keith and I took a ride to Mystic. We went to Clyde's Cider Mill to pick up some hard apple cider for my brother-in-law. Saw this card and thought of you. Keith found the t-shirt. I know it's a 2X, but it's 100% cotton, so it's probably going to shrink on you. Hope all is well. With Nanny Wednesday, loving your nephew. We get to spend some time with Little Miss River Rose today. Love Michelle and Keith. And the card, it says BF Clyde Cider Mill, 1881, Stonington, Connecticut, the oldest steam-powered cider mill in the United States, family-owned for 6 generations. And this is the card, which is really cool. You guys know what a nerd I am. There's all the info right there. If you guys ever want to go there, you can screen grab that. But the BF Clyde's Cider Mill. So thank you for the letter. And the shirt. Clyde's yellow jacket. I bet that cider is delicious. So good. So thank you. I'm going to shrink the hell out of that shirt. And then the card. Wednesday, what are you doing? Are you smelling my pocket? It says, hope the birthday fun is like a fart in an elevator. It says, squeeze me. Where do you guys find farting pug cards? It says impossible to ignore. Happy early birthday. A little something for your Halloween decorating this year. Should help brighten up Fez's season. Much love, Melissa and Tim McMahon. All right, now, the first thing they did was send me these caramel cold brew M&Ms. I didn't even know this was a thing. By the way, the M&M store is right down the strip from the Stranger Things store. It's like 3 floors of M&Ms. So they probably have these in there. These are caramel cold brew. Caramel cold brew M&Ms. I'm never getting to sleep tonight. Oh my God, these are amazing. They're gooey inside. Hold on. See if I can squish it. Look. Guys, are you kidding me? Oh my God. Thank you for sending me a double extra large shirt. And I'm going to need it. I'm going to eat that whole bag. Blame it on my birthday. And the farting pug card. I love the Gothic wrapping paper too. I waited to open this, by the way. Oh my God. LED skeleton lighting kit. Illuminates the upper body and skull. Is this made for the, it's made for the Fezzics. The giant 12-foot, oh my God. Oh, I'm putting lights in Fezzik. Like tomorrow, it's happening. Holy crap, I have lights to go into Fezzik. Thank you. Illuminates the upper body and skull, connects using included cables and mounts. Wiring connects to the head wiring. Oh my God, this looks complicated. I think that's his eyeballs. Oh my God, this is so cool. I cannot wait to put lights in Fezzik. Photos coming soon. First thing tomorrow. I might do it tonight. I'll just keep eating those M&Ms. I'll be out there with a headlamp trying to put Fezzik's ribcage back together. I thought the tickets to see Bush again on the 20th. Time today at PPAC. I cannot wait. Bish says, I'm doubtful that they got the right guy that killed Tupac. Hold on, I got to catch up with the... Oh, you guys are loving the M&Ms. Walter, get me a bag of that M&M candy. Elsa says they're really, really good. Take plenty of pictures of it. Oh, I will. Once I get Fezzik all lit up, I will take plenty of pictures for you guys. Melissa says, you're welcome. You rock. Anus cookies taste like shit, Mark says. Carrie, you forgot Keith. Oh my God. Happy unbirthday, Keith. I'm sorry. I was so excited about my own birthday. Happy unbirthday, Keith. I told you I had to catch up with the messages. Ralph says Babcock Street House in Quincy, the best Halloween decorated house on the South Shore. That's badass. We get to have a spooky war room this year. The look on Carrie's face. Are you kidding? I'm going to put lights in Fezzik's ribcage? Hell yeah, I am. Oh my God, I can't stop eating those M&Ms. They're delicious. Yeah, Michelle says, oh my Lord, can you see her out there? Yes. Out there in the dark with a headlamp on, trying to put lights in Fezzik's ribcage. What about that surprises any of you? Nothing. None of it is surprising to you at all. So that's mail call. Thank you guys so much. I also want to thank you guys just for all of the really sweet birthday messages on Facebook. It was truly overwhelming while I was away. I was really glad that I got to spend my birthday with my husband and got to spend it in Vegas. We went out to eat and it was just really great. So it was a little bit overwhelming, but it was amazing. Want to remind you guys, these are still all in stock, but multiple sizes in both colors are danger close to being sold out. So if you want to guarantee that you're going to get your retro 3/4 sleeve purple or black jerseys, you got to order them soon. I am hoping to have some other new stuff in the store by the holidays. And one of the companies that was actually out at this convention is a merch company. And so I came back with some cool ideas. So I'm looking into some stuff right now. So you can just go to the store at mistresscarrie.com and check it out. And backstage pass holders, our next live stream is going to be later on this month, and I will have even more specifics about Vegas. If you've got specific questions, I can help you if you're going to plan a trip. If you don't have a Mistress Carrie backstage pass, we do monthly exclusive live streams. You can submit podcast interview questions. I take you with me when I travel. There's another trip coming up in November, so I'll fill you in on that. Early access to event information and tickets and exclusive concert ticket giveaways. Right now, Mistress Carrie backstage pass holders have access to tickets to see 3 Days Grace and Chevelle at the MGM Music Hall coming up on the 14th. So if you have a Mistress Carrie backstage pass and you want those tickets, you just got to log into Patreon, send me the message. You know how to do it. And a reminder of all the places you can find me on Patreon as well. Twitter, Threads, IG, Facebook, TikTok, Cameo, YouTube, Patreon, obviously. Then there are the Mistress Carrie podcast accounts now, Mistress Carrie podcast on Instagram and Threads. And you can access the podcast and listen to the shows if you download the Pike app or the Bone app. And you can do either one of those or both if you want. So that's where you can find me. So, Wednesday, what are you doing? You want to come over here? You want to come over here? What's Mommy got? What's Mommy got? Come here. Sit down. Sit. Good girl. Sorry I didn't give you M&Ms, but you can't have them because they're bad for doggies. Right? But you can have your cookies because they're good for doggies. You want to say goodnight to everyone? Say thank you for spoiling Mommy on her birthday? Huh? Okay. So, sorry that the show was so delayed tonight, guys. I think I'm getting to the bottom of what is making things difficult when I update all of this software. So, an MC Man-thong, says Bush. No, we don't need that. We don't need that at all. Let me see. Steven, which show are you talking about? March 18th at Roadrunner. Are you talking about Ministry? Which show are you talking about? Michelle says the cider mill also sells wine. Yummy. All right. New episode of the podcast coming out tomorrow, or technically tonight at midnight, featuring Stephen Richards from Taproot and Keith in a Thong. Yeah, Ministry, Stephen. That's what I thought you were talking about. That show is also up on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com already. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for all the birthday love, right? Wednesday, didn't you say thank you for everything? Yeah. I'll see you guys next week. Sorry for being late. And backstage pass holders, I will let you know when we're going to do our monthly live stream later on. And pictures of an illuminated Fezzik rib cage. Oh, they're coming. Bye, guys. I hit the button. Why didn't it do anything?